Hello, my name is Kathleen Mullen, and I'm the Seattle Queer Film Festival Director. And we are here with the producer of Sweetheart, a wonderful film that is showing virtually now at the Seattle Queer Film Festival. Welcome, Michelle and Antonio. Yeah, maybe say your last name for me.
Oh no, I wanted you to try. It's Michelle Antoniadis. It's
Oh,
quite a mouthful.
Antoniadis. So it is like Italian. I was like, okay, it sounds, I mean,
Yeah, if you say it with an Italian accent, it sounds right. Yeah.
Antoniadis. Okay, well, welcome after I
Thank
butchered your
you.
name, but thank you for being here.
Not at all. Thank you for having us as well for part of the festival this year.
Yeah, so Sweetheart is just one, I just love it. I just love that it's so youthful. Like, oh, it's such a film about youth and about growing up and that kind of awkward stage. And maybe you could talk a little bit about sort of, I mean, I guess why you made the film and sort of your focus on youth.
Yeah. I mean, so Marley Morrison, the writer director, and I have worked together for a number of years on short films as well, and Sweetheart is our first feature. And it kind of came about, Marley had always wanted to write a character that reflected herself on screen when she was younger, because that's something that we didn't have growing up. The queer visibility was very, very limited. And at the time in the 90s and early 2000s, it was also quite stereotypical or heteronormative. So, visibility at that time, had we had a film like Sweetheart with a character like AJ, who's very happy just kind of being herself and is already out, maybe it might have made things a bit easier growing up. So yeah, I guess it's a film for the next generation of queer teens, and just to kind of highlight the awkwardness, very loosely based on Molly's own experiences growing up and going to holiday parks as well in the UK.
And actually, that setting of a holiday park is so. Can you talk a little bit about the setting of the holiday park? Because it's hilarious. It's funny for, I guess, us. Is there something about it that's very English in a way?
Yeah, I guess maybe we don't have holiday parks really over there in the States. It's quite it's very coastal British thing, I guess. And it's there's something about those places that they just feel so safe because they're kind of stuck in time. So you know what you're getting. You get the disco, you get the bowling alley, you get the swimming pool. There's always kind of the same kind of cheesy entertainment, but it's so much fun. There's always a magician or a comedian. And so it's kind of a character in itself as well, Freshwater, the holiday park. And AJ says in the film, when I was 9, this was the greatest place in the world. And then now, because she's going through all her teenage angst, she wants to fight against it, but ends up having a really good time.
Mhm. And kind of falling for somebody. Yeah, and I guess that thing about young love and the awkwardness of that of sort of young attraction. I guess how did you sort of work with the actors around that? Because I mean, both the character of Isla and AJ, they're such good young actors, and so.
Yeah, they're brilliant. I mean, Marley's really good at working with actors. She's very empathetic in that way, in that she also wants them to kind of bring their own take on the character. When we did rehearsals with AJ and Isla, so with Nell Barlow and Ella Ray Smith, the enchanting Ella Ray Smith, we actually, we had them together, and Molly did quite a bit of improv with them just to get them comfortable with each other. We did a chemistry read with them as well, for part of the audition process, and they just got on like a house on fire. So it was really easy, to then kind of for them to work together and for Marley to be able to mold these characters and to build this love story with them. And they're both great actresses as well, as you said. Ella Ray says that she never knows what Nell is going to do, which is great for an actor because it always keeps you on your toes. So I think they had a lot of fun doing that together. Yeah.
Yeah. And another element that you bring into the film, which I thought was very interesting, is an environmental, because AJ is a young environmentalist, and that's like, I love that.
I guess that was, yeah. I mean, an ode to the Gen Zers, but also to me, like I'm an environmental, environmentally responsible producer. I like to have, green production. So, but I
Great.
guess, I guess that, but no, it was kind of the character of AJ and that generation that just, they just want to make things better,
Yeah.
which is, what we need as well. And so, yeah, it was never, I think it just came organically with the character for
Mhm.
Marley. It was never shoehorned in, or we have to tick this box. It just felt natural that this is what AJ would be incredibly passionate about.
Mhm.
And we're passionate about it as well. Of course, we had a green production, and we always try to do it in all aspects of production, be environmental. But yeah,
Mhm.
we haven't knitted jumpers for elephants though. One day.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's like that thing of like, you just have this idealism that you can, and you can change the world. I mean, as Margaret Mead said, it just takes one person or the whole, that to change, you can change the world.
Exactly,
I
just
can't
one bit.
remember her exact quote, but it's like this amazing quote, that really, sort of, yeah. And so I like that that part is infused in the film, and that's interesting that you have a green production. So as a producer, because you're a producer on the screening. Um, so in a way, like, how did you then approach that? Like in terms of a green production, what does that mean? I'll just ask you a producer question, then we can go.
So we worked, we actually, we involved everyone in it being a green production. We worked with a company in the UK called Green Screen,
Mhm.
and they kind of give you, like a crew memo of things um, that you should do to have a green production. And it includes, from the basic things, recycling in every department, but also thinking about the way you source materials,
Mhm.
the way that what equipment you use, so that it's battery operated, saving
Mhm.
energy and not draining electricity, and
Mhm.
just, trying to change little things in every department, and then slowly you can change the bigger things,
Yeah.
and then monitor your carbon footprint. And the crew got really involved, and the cast got really involved, and it was really great to see. Actually, made me happy.
Yeah, no, that's great. I used to actually be the artistic director of a film festival called Planet in Focus in Toronto, and it was we ran these, so I have an interest in it as well. So we ran these programs around sort of green production. We had a yeah. Anyway,
It's
so
so
it's
easy to do as well. It's so easy
yeah.
to make a production green, and I think I put on the crew memo, Greta is watching, just to
And then actually, and then I'm also interested in how you and Molly collaborate, because it sounds that like that you're very close in terms of your working together.
Yeah, I guess because we started at the same, almost at the same level. I think, Molly had done a couple of short films and some music videos, and I had done a couple of, short films when we met. And then we just learnt together, and I learnt about the writers and directors process, and she learnt what I was doing on producing. So there was always like a clear channel of communication. So we always, and so we could support each other as well, because
Mhm.
writing is a lonely experience, producing is sometimes a lonely experience. So
Mhm.
it's about having each other's back, throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
And also for me, learning, what a writer has to go through, it enables me to do a better job as a producer, and to kind of take a quicker initiative of what might be needed, ahead of
Mhm.
time, or and I get very involved in story. I'm a creative producer, so I like to kind of help develop the story from the very beginning,
Mhm.
and then I see it through all the way to the end, and festivals and marketing. So yeah, you can have lots of different types of producers,
Yeah.
but I like to be quite hands on, and get involved.
Yeah. Well, it makes it more interesting in terms of like having a passion to carry you through because, making films are expensive and a lot
Yeah,
of work and you have to really have that momentum. So I can imagine. And then
yeah,
finding also then a collaborator is like someone that you can work with is another sort of key element. So yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important to kind of have that collaboration, and then you take that on into other departments as well.
Mhm.
And you kind of collaborate with the DOP and with
Mhm.
costume, and it's an enjoyable process. It should be an enjoyable process.
Yeah. Actually, I think I'm gonna ask about costume because the hat that AJ wears is like is amazing, and, it's one of the stills, for, one of the stills for the production, that you see. So maybe can you talk a little bit about the costumes?
Yeah, absolutely. We had an amazing costume designer, Amy Louise Thompson, and she worked quite collaboratively with Marley on AJ's look. I think Marley had, kind of an idea of how she wanted AJ to be, and
Mhm.
then Amy just kind of, filled in the gaps, and they worked together on it. It was really important to, because AJ is quite introverted,
Mhm.
and it was important to show her being quite layered and
Mhm.
closed off at the beginning. So she has her big
Yeah.
coat and her hat and her sunnies, and then by the end of the film, she slowly takes it off and slowly reveals more about herself as a person, and slowly relaxes into what the situation is with Isla, and it's quite hard to emote under a pair of sunglasses. I think Nell did a fantastic job. But yeah, the look is very 90s mod, I think. Very, again, inspired by our own teenage experience with Oasis.
No, I know. I thought it was like absolutely perfect. It just like really came together. And then the other thing I thought really struck me is the family. Like the whole, I mean, the film is really also it's about AJ and Isla and youth, but it's also about the mother-daughter relationship, and the fraughtness of that sometimes. In this particular case, but often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
always.
so so I guess, yeah, I'd love to know sort of more about that and choosing the family because the ensemble cast is really is great. It's funny. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's so many great things about that.
Oh, we got so lucky with our cast. Our cast are fantastic. A few of them we found ourselves,
Hmm.
and all that we'd already known before. And then our casting director Carolyn did a fantastic job. She was instrumental in getting Joe Hartley, who's
Hmm.
Tina, who plays AJ's mum.
Yeah, yeah,
And that relationship, it was really important for Tina not to be a side character.
okay,
She had to have her own
yeah,
story, her own arc, because she is important in AJ's story,
yeah,
especially at this moment in time in AJ's life.
yeah,
So it was important, to show not just the fracturing of that relationship, but
mhm,
also how they come back together.
yeah.
And the fact that they are so similar, they argue in the same way, and then it's all the other family characters that kind of nudge them to, come on,
Yeah.
just get back to, so it's so typical of your dysfunctional family,
Hmm.
um aspect, I think. And the way that when it's done through humor as well, I think that's what's
Yeah.
so great about Marley's writing, is she often tackles really difficult subject matters through
Hmm.
comedy,
Yeah.
and about finding the comedy in those awkward moments.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I it's really noticeable that that Molly worked on Tina, so much that character because she is a full character. She has a whole background story. She has a life. She has, emotions. It's not just AJ's perspective of because AJ can be a little bit like
Oh,
difficult
she's a brat.
as teenagers go, right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was as annoying as a teenager, and grumpy.
I
But
was
yeah, she does.
definitely.
I think we all were. But she does test Tina for sure. And it's important to note that Tina only wants to support her daughter, and she can say the most random things sometimes, but it comes from a place of love.
Mhm.
And she's not homophobic, and she's just comes from a different generation where, again, queer visibility was not as much as it is now, um, and from fear as well. She's obviously, she doesn't want her child to suffer.
Mhm.
She wants her to be who she is. So it was really important to really round that character out. And Jo Hartley is just hilarious. She's just the
Yeah.
best, the best person to have on set. You just don't stop laughing.
Yeah, and I love the English. I mean, I love British humor, so my mother's English, and so it's that thing of like that kind of the, and I think many people do in the US. I mean, we eat up the British TV shows, and um, I think yeah. So it's just you infuse it with that sort of, I don't know, witty kind of uh, just British humor.
It's that awkwardness. We're quite funny, the British. We're quite
Yeah.
quite funny and awkward. So it's just, yeah, kind of putting that across. And then, there's some great comedy actors that we've got in there as well.
Mhm.
With Sophia as well, she's fantastic as Lucy.
Yeah.
And little Tabby, who plays Dana, the little sister.
Oh, yeah.
um, she was probably the most professional person on set, actually. She was fantastic. She, at one point, I think it was in a scene where she wasn't quite needed, but she was still in the shot, and she
Mm.
actually said, "Oh, I'm actually not seen in this shot. Is it okay if I sit out?" And we were like, "Well, yeah, absolutely." So she was just a lovely, like, so professional and so wonderful. I was scared of working with a child actor. I was like, "Oh, it's
Mhm.
really much responsibility," but she was fantastic. She was just brilliant. And I think
Mm.
having all of these lovely actors together. We all lived together on the park as well.
Oh,
We had lunch together and dinner together. We had our days off, and there was a private beach there as well.
mhm.
So there was lots to do, and everyone
Yeah,
hung out, and the cast and the crew. We all bonded as a family. So I
yeah,
think it helped. It definitely helped the cast bond as well, for them
yeah.
to be all together in one space.
That's nice. That's kind of fun that you like it was very authentic because you actually were in the holiday park together. I love that.
Yeah. And there was actually no Wi-Fi. There was only Wi-Fi in the
Oh,
bar. So that
okay.
was a real thing. But yeah, so we were completely like at one with nature.
Wow. Well, very good. And one with the holiday parkers,
Yeah.
the other one. That's wonderful. So is there, so what's happening with Sweetheart now? What's, where it's at our festival, it's online. But I know it's been playing around. So,
Yeah, so we're still in the UK, in UK cinemas, for a
mhm,
few more weeks. And then we're still doing some international festivals as well. I think
mhm.
we've got a couple more in the US, after Seattle. And then hopefully you'll see us online somewhere. We're
Okay.
really hoping to come to you on the VODs.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh, I think people would love it. I mean, it's so great. How is the reaction theatrically in England? In the
really great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are sending some really lovely comments online, and posting about the film, and every time they see the poster, they're taking a picture, which is lovely.
Oh, great.
Um,
Wonderful.
so let us know if you like it, Seattle audience.
Exactly. Yes, vote on the ratings for sure. We have ratings after the film and everybody can vote. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
please vote.
yeah. I know. So I don't know. I think we're going to wrap up, but this has been such a pleasure to speak with you about the film. I mean, I really love it. I love that feeling of I remember my youth very well. I had I was out actually, and I had a whole kind of crew of people and we would like hang out. And so it was I felt very, could really relate to it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you again for screening the film at the festival as well.
Yeah. Thank you.